Media.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I want to talk about my content structure and flow so that you have a better idea of what that can look like for you as you build out your own content strategy. Yesterday, I talked about Facebook assigning me the title of Rising Creator, and a lot of that largely is due to this structure and this flow that I've created for myself that allows me to stay consistent with publishing content on the regular, pretty much every day, right? I think I've talked about this before in past episodes where, when on those days when you don't have motivation, when you don't have the energy and the drive to, do the work that we all need to do for our content creation, the structure will help keep you accountable, right? It will help keep you moving and creating and publishing when you're not feeling, motivated. And that allows you to keep consistent so that you can gain visibility and eventually earn the title of Rising Creator. So my structure looks like this. I record this podcast, which I record it in video form, and then I extract the audio and upload that. Well, I tweak it obviously. I give it its once over through the EQ and add the music and the titles and everything like that, the intro, and then I upload that audio as the podcast version, and then I edit the original video for the YouTube version, right? So you have immediately 2 pieces of content from one original source. Now, from there, what I'll do is I'll take that video, a couple weeks later, and I'll slice it. I'll cut it up into smaller forms, and I'll repackage it as a short form content, like a reel or a TikTok video or a YouTube short. Of course, I'll share those on Facebook as well, Facebook Reels. So I'm able to repurpose these longer form contents into shorter pieces, and that contributes to my content publishing, because not everybody's going to sit here and listen to these long forms in the first place, and obviously you can't really you can't really upload the long form stuff to the Instagram and the Reels. I mean, you can, but those audiences I think prefer shorter form content anyway. So that's really helped. And then more recently, I've started to pay more attention to my specific Instagram strategies, and so I'm doing unique Reels that aren't outside of the podcast videos. I'm doing actual reels and slide content for that I'm also publishing and posting on Facebook as well. So that's kind of the extent of my content strategy. I'm using a lot of this content across multiple platforms. I'm also repurposing some content for the different platforms, right? Again, the long form into short form. Now, I do want to let you know that this didn't happen all at once. This was an evolution. Back in September, when I first started this podcast, that's all I had. All I had was the podcast. And once I was okay with being consistent with the podcast, when it didn't feel like so much work, then I added the video version, right? And then once the video version and the podcast were kind of a regular thing, and I developed that into a habit where it was second nature. I started doing the shorter form and cutting that long form into reels. And then once I did that, it's a process, and usually there's a couple months in between that gives me enough time to get accustomed to adding this new layer of activity to my content flow, to my content structure. Trying to do it all at once, I think, would have been crazy, unmanageable, and also would have contributed to me not being consistent because I would have gotten overwhelmed with all of it. But since I took it one step at a time, one layer at a time, I was able to get used to each level or each layer before I added the next one, right? So that overwhelm didn't happen. Really, yeah, it's something to consider because especially if you're new, if you're just starting, I don't want you to have to manage all this content. And this is just my current flow. I know it's going to expand, it's going to grow, it's going to change over time, because, well, everything's ever changing, and I'm adding something new to the roster as I iterate and grow and learn more, right? Like right now there's a focus, and I'm able to focus on Instagram and Instagram specific strategies and tactics within my content because I've been able to manage everything else, right? Facebook, I've got a good handle on. I mean, I got that title of rising creator because that's got a great flow to it. And so now I'm paying more attention to Instagram. I'm also actually, as I'm doing that, paying more attention to the SEO in my podcast and YouTube descriptions so that I get better traction there. And that's also starting to help. But, I think the main point is I am only adding the next layer or the next thing to my content flow and to my content strategy when I know I have a good handle on my current flow and my current strategy. Again, trying to tackle all of this at once is foolhardy. If you're brand new, start with one thing, right? Start with one thing. Get really good at that thing. Pick a platform, and like for me, I picked podcasting, but it can be any platform. Pick that platform that you're comfortable with, that you're most familiar with, and really master that. And then from there, once you get into the habit, once you've developed a level of proficiency in that particular platform, then expand out and add to your content flow. Right? Don't do it all at once because that's a formula for overwhelm, and then of course, you won't be consistent because you'll be too overwhelmed with all the work that you've given yourself, right? So that's it. That's my content flow and structure. Hopefully that helps. Again, as you build out your own content strategy, this will give you an idea, at least for my process, something that you can, borrow or even mimic and copy, right? Okay, that's it. More from me tomorrow, obviously. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.